call the September 5th regular meeting of the DeSoto County Board of Education to order. And we have two young people here today who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Angel Rodriguez, 4th grade, South Haven Elementary School, and Kazada, 3rd grade. Mary, oh, I'm sorry, left out your first name. Miriam Kazada, 3rd grade, South Haven Elementary School.
Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all.
Great job. Thank you very much.
Great job.
Okay, next item, business is the approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions that need to be added to the agenda for today? Having heard none, Mr. Alderson, your recommendation?
Mr. President, I recommend the board to approve the agenda.
Okay, based upon the superintendent's recommendation to approve the agenda that you have before you, do we have a motion to that effect? Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion having been made and seconded, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Nay. Ayes have it. The agenda is approved. First item of business, superintendent's report, Mr. Austin.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I've got two early graduation requests for executive session. I'll ask the board to please consider those at that time. Also, at this time, I would like to ask our Executive Director of Academic Services, Mr. Jerry Darnell, to come forward. We have got a student receiving special recognition this afternoon.
Kate, do you want to come up, sweetie?
Today,
This is Emma Kate Ferris, and she is getting the Presidential Volunteer Service Award. I'm going to read a letter from President Donald Trump about this award. Congratulations on receiving the Presidential Volunteer Service Award. On behalf of a grateful nation, I thank you for your service to your fellow Americans and those most in need. Through your dedication service, you have ensured the American parallel commitment for others. Over the past years, you have served as a model of the American spirit. Your many honors have served the strength and bonds of cooperation and trust that bring people together, while helping to address some of our greatest challenges of our times. One of our nation's greatest strengths remains the everyday citizen who gives so willing of themselves and their lives for the benefits of others. Each generation of hardworking and kind-hearted volunteers helped to write a new chapter of American greatness in our nation in a period for a commitment to our honored tradition. As we reflect on your many acts of kindness and charity over the past years, our nation draws inspiration from those who answered the call to help those communities and our nations. With your continued effort to build on our nation's culture of service, America will proudly remain a land of freedom and opportunity for all. Thank you for your enduring commitment to serving your community and our nation. I trust that you will continue to work for the betterment of others and even stronger future for the American people. President Donald Trump. Emma Kate, I'd like to present you this award. It's the Presidential Volunteer Award.
Congratulations. Thank you, Mr. Darnell. Congratulations. You gave us an awesome award.
Yeah, great.
And this time, we'll have our teacher spotlight segment. I'll ask our principal, South Haven Elementary School, Mr. Church, please come forward and introduce the segment.
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing South Haven Elementary to be the first teacher spotlight of the 1920 school year. I would like to introduce 3 teachers that will present this afternoon. SES, we decided to spotlight our EL program. We have a large number of EL students. We have 3 full-time teachers, and I would like to thank you for that. I know that funding is always an issue and budget. I don't even want to go there, but I would like to thank you guys for supplying me with 3 fabulous EL teachers, and our kids, we are very lucky to have them. So I have Miss Sarah Deal. This is her first year with us at South Haven Elementary. I have Miss Becky Bashan. She is a kindergarten teacher and is now a first-year EL teacher. And I have Miss Whitney Knight-Lori. She's a veteran EL teacher. So I'd like to introduce them, and I'll turn it over to them. Thank you.
Hi, thank you all for having us here. As Ms. Upchurch said earlier, we are here to talk about project-based learning. We did a little bit of this last year in the EL department, and we'd like to talk about what it does for SES. So DeSoto County School is, of course, the largest school district in Mississippi, which means we have the largest EL population as well. In DeSoto County alone, we have 2,232 EL students. 95 of those are at SES, and these children have heritages represented in Mexico, Honduras, Venezuela, Guatemala, Yemen, China, and Cambodia. And that's a wide range of heritages. They also come with a wide range of proficiencies. We have children who speak English as fluently as they speak their mother tongue. We have children who this is the first time they're being introduced to the English alphabet. So what we do for our job is that we pull them into small groups and we help them with their own personal goals of speaking, listening, reading, and writing. And at the same time, we're helping them to engage in their own communities and be part of that. And that sounds like a challenge. It sounds like a lot for us to do. But the one thing that really brings all of those elements together is project-based learning.
So what is project-based learning? Well, it starts with a question. It could be a how to solve a problem or a what if scenario.
Some of the driving questions that students in SES have explored include, is there room in the market for a new flavor of Takis? And how can we perform a puppet show for younger students? Our first and second grade students explored, how can we help dogs and cats in our community? While our kindergarten ELs tried to figure out, why do we get sick?
The students then research the issue and apply information to the problem.
This process of sustained inquiry allows students to make connections between all the skills of English learning, speaking, listening, reading, and writing. Students self-select and read books and articles to help them answer questions that they have about the project. This means every student has something unique to bring to the table.
The authenticity is the beautiful part. The questions or problems are something the students come up with. They are the ones who drive the inquiry.
One fifth grader at SES last year said halfway through the year, this is like work, it's like a real job. For instance, the Takis project gave students a real audience and real money. Students had a real life example of supply and demand with a line for Takis snaked halfway around the building, and they sold out in the first 10 minutes. Also, our kindergarten ELs were able to use a real microscope, while our first and second grade ELs were able to hold real kittens at the South Haven Animal Shelter.
Their voices are heard and everyone gets to chip in.
This allows our ELs to experience lessons from the classroom on their own terms, aligning the state standards to their own interests. Students are able to choose the books they read, as well as the format. They can read on iPads via Google Docs or on printouts or with paper books. With the Takis Design Challenge, students voted on how to use the money they raised and budgeted to buy materials for a water/soccer party.
They reflect on the progress they've made and revise the plan.
The reflection happens throughout the process of PBL. Last year at SES, our kindergartners reflected on germs in an experiment with bread as they kept a science log. Third through fifth graders were given the opportunity to reflect on their concerns about the puppet show they were going to perform by talking to drama students from South Haven High School.
Also, students get feedback on their project from peers, EL teachers, and other adults in the school and community using tools like gallery walks, self-created rubrics via Google Forms, and more.
After the revision, they share the outcome with the school, community, or district.
This is so important for our ELs to feel part of our community and show their strengths to their community. On the right, fifth grade ELs and SES are performing a puppet show entitled Candyland's Heroes to an audience of kindergarten students. And on the left, you can see kindergarten ELs present their germ project to our elementary EL specialist, LaDonna Thomas, in this very room.
So for this year at SES, we're going to begin the year by presenting the students with some of our own ideas for projects, just to get them used to the format of the learning process with the PBL project. Some of the things we have in mind is the 4th and 5th graders will publish their own books and have a book signing that they will present to the kindergarten students. We have a project where they will observe and take care of a class pet and discuss the responsibilities of looking after a living animal. We also have a project for designing a recycling system for the school. Midway through the year, we'd like to start hearing from the students themselves about what ideas they want to do, what they want to pursue. And by the end of the year, we would like to have PBL projects that focus on student-based interests that they decided where they want to go from the very beginning.
So what does this mean for SES? When we think of Title I schools, we immediately think of low test scores, poor peer relationships, low attendance rates, and behavior issues. These are all very real truths, and yet here we are closing that gap, building self-confidence, teaching students to work together while facing challenges and differences in a positive manner. They are excited to come to school and excited to see their teachers. They get to see how reading, writing, and relationships apply to the real world. Each student contributes to the projects as they progress using their own talents and unique skills. They're learning to be critical thinkers, scientists, engineers, and writers, and we, as their teachers, are excited to help them along the way.
Great presentation, I appreciate that, and, awesome. Great teachers. And, DeSoto Church, we appreciate that. Great way to start us out for our teacher spotlight session. We appreciate all of your hard work at SES. Ladies, thank y'all for presenting that.
Yes, great presentation.
That concludes my superintendent's report.
Okay. Attorney's report.
Yes, sir, we have a construction contract matter that we should be discussing in executive session.
All right, sir. Next item of business will be the approval of the minutes from the August 15th meeting and the August 22nd special call board meeting. Do we have a motion that those minutes from those two meetings be approved?
Let me start this again.
All right.
I approve the motion, I'll make the motion to approve the minutes from August the 15th, 2019 meeting and August the 22nd, 2019 special call board meeting.
Okay, motion having been made, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and second having been made. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, the motion is carried, the ayes have it. Next item of business is the consent agenda. It is items A through R, 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 R. And I have to say, I think it's the longest agenda this board ever had. So, almost couldn't get all of that out. But are there any changes to the consent agenda? None. Mr. Usleton, your recommendation for approval.
Mr. President, I recommend the board to approve the consent agenda.
Okay. Based upon the superintendent's recommendation to approve the consent agenda A through R, 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 do we have a motion to that effect?
Motion to approve consent agenda is presented.
Okay, do we have a second? Motion having been made and seconded, all those in favor, aye? Aye. Nay. Ayes have it, the consent agenda is approved. Okay. First item of business under new business. Item A is Architectural Services, Allen and Hoschel, PLLC, for the new Lewisburg Middle School. Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir. We're requesting permission to hire Allen and Holden as the architect for the construction of the new Lewisburg Middle School.
Okay. Your recommendation, Mr. Austin.
Mr. President, I recommend the board to approve the use of architectural services of Allen Oshel for the new Lewisburg Middle School.
All right, based upon the superintendent's recommendation for approval, do we have a motion to that effect? Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion having been made and seconded, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Item A is approved. Item B, Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir. We're requesting permission to advertise for bids on the construction of the new Lewisburg Middle School.
Okay. Based on Mr. Williams' recommendation, your recommendation, Mr. Superintendent.
Mr. President, I recommend the board to approve the advertising of bids for the new Lewisburg Middle School.
Okay. Based upon the superintendent's recommendation for approval, do we have a motion to that effect? Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion having been made and seconded, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Nay? Ayes have it, the motion is approved. Number C is rebid for copy paper, Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir. We opened the bids up on August the 30th, copy paper. The low bidder was Interstate Business Solutions. After we discussed with them the logistics of getting the paper to our schools, we realized that they could not fulfill their bid obligation. Thus, we went with the second lowest bid, and that was from Noel Paper Company. And that bid was still $86,000 less than what we could have gotten the same amount of paper for on the contracted price.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Williams, for that presentation. Your recommendation, Mr. Austin.
Mr. President, I recommend the board to approve the bid from Newell Paper Company for copy paper for the DeSoto County School.
Based upon the superintendent's recommendation for approval, do we have a motion to that effect? Motion having been made, do we have a second? Motion and second having been made, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Nay? Ayes have it, the motion is approved. Item D, Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir. The DeSoto Central High School Soccer Booster Club has proposed to build 2 dugouts on the west side of the soccer field. There's a drawing in your packet to show the proposed dugout. The structure will be donated to the district upon completion.
Okay. Based upon Mr. Williams' presentation, do we have a recommendation to that effect? Mr. Austin.
Mr. President, I recommend the board to approve the construction of soccer dugouts at DeSoto Central High School.
Based upon the superintendent's recommendation for approval, do we have a motion to that effect? Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion having been made and seconded, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Nay? Ayes have it, the motion is approved. Item E is request to approve workers' compensation insurance renewal. Mr. Williams.
Yes, sir. In your packet is the renewal for the district's workers' compensation insurance. Renewal is in the last year of the 3-year guarantee rate with the Mississippi Municipal Workers' Compensation Group. I see Ms. Sarah Edmondson from Southwest in the audience if you have any questions.
Any questions? Anyone? Based upon Mr. Williams' recommendation, yours, Mr. Superintendent.
Mr. President, I recommend the board to approve the workers' compensation insurance renewal.
Okay. Based upon the superintendent's recommendation for approval, do we have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion having been made and seconded, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Nay. The ayes have it, the motion is approved. Item F, Ms. Graves.
Our cash flow for this month of July, our district maintenance cash balance is $82,836,069, which includes an invested balance of $27,383,311. Our all funds cash balance at this point is $111,403,308.
Okay. Based on Ms. Graves' presentation or statement of cash flow, do we have a recommendation, Mr. Austin, for approval?
Mr. President, I recommend the board to approve the statement of cash flow for July 2019.
Based upon the superintendent's recommendation for approval for the statement of cash flow, do we have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Do we have a second? Motion having been made and seconded, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Nay. Ayes have it, the motion is approved. Item H, combined balance sheet, Ms. Graves.
The fund balance for all general funds for July is at $106,098,516. If we compare that to last year, the fund balance at that time was $95,577,053. So we're up 11% over last year, which is great because we're building up our balance for the certificate certification to pay for those, which we'll start paying back this year. At the September 5th board meeting, this is the last board date for claims for last year, so this will change slightly, but nothing material.
Okay. You do such a great job on that, I might get you to balance my checkbook.
Can't say they're not my own on a regular basis. Can't say they're my own on a regular basis.
Oh, based on Ms. Graves' statement on the combined balance sheet, do we have a recommendation, Mr. Austin?
Mr. President, I recommend the board to approve the combined balance sheet for July 2019.
Okay, based on the superintendent's recommendation for approval, do we have a motion to that effect? Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion having been made and seconded, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nays? Ayes have it, combined balance sheet is approved. Certification of bank reconciliations, Ms. Graves.
All bank statements have been reconciled with no exceptions.
Thank you. The recommendation.
Mr. President, I recommend the board to approve the certification of bank reconciliations for July 2019.
Based on the superintendent's recommendation for approval of the certification of bank reconciliations, do we have a motion to that effect?
I make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion having been made and seconded, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Nay. Ayes have it, the motion is approved. Next item of business on the agenda is personnel, Mr. Alexander.
Sir, the personnel packet this afternoon contains pages 1 through 5, which are recommendations. Pages 6 and 7 are personnel changes. Page 8 is our provisional list. These are for employees not yet been awarded Mississippi Educator license today, and those non-licensed will be at $75 a day, and those that are licensed out of state or out of North America will be $115 per day. I will say that 8 teachers between the cutoff and now have received theirs, so that's about half of what you see before you. Page 9 is a memo from Ms. Strickland, principal of South Haven Intermediate School. So Ms. Hudson, she's a part-time Title I tutor. The statement started before her board approved date of August 7th. She worked 16 hours and 15 minutes and asked to be paid at her daily rate for those hours that we worked. Page 10 is a memo from Ms. Erica Armstrong, principal at Falls Elementary School, and she is requesting we comp time. These are teacher assistants that began at the back-to-school bash they had for their students on August the 3rd. So this would be for their time. Those employees are listed and with the amount of comp time hours they received if they worked on that day. So page 11 is a memo from Ms. McGee, principal at Foothill Elementary School. She's requesting that Stacey Harrison, that's a speech pathologist, 187 a day at Foothill Elementary, be allowed to use school business time for upcoming monthly event. She has a son who is a junior at DeSoto Central High School. He is one of only two Mississippi students that's a representative named to advise our state's Board of Education. These meetings take place once a month, and she did transport her son once a month to these. Page 12 is the dates of those meetings. These could change, however, they should not exceed 1 day per month. And we're also looking back at Ms. Harrison be compensated for the August 15th that has taken place already. The rest are upcoming. Or excuse me, beginning school business for that day. Page 13 is a memo from Mr. Ryan Kirkendall, the Director of Research and Accountability on Ms. Bees. She to be paid, she volunteered as a proctor for the state test on July 10th. As a 19, she as a hourly employee, she's not able to volunteer for that time, so we would need to pay her daily rate for the 45 minutes that she did work on that day. Page 14 is a memo from Mr. Anthony Jenkins, Athletic Director for the district, on the following people who will be volunteer paraprofessionals and will assist with coaching for the 1920 school year. They're listed. Page 15 is a memo for myself. This is on the athletic supplement for the 1920 school year. This is a supplement for Coach Hurt. The amount is on there. He's currently the 9th grade football coach for Horn Lake High School. Page 16 is a breakdown of Steve Hurt's years of experience and compensation. Page 17 and 19 is the job description on the school nurse substitute. It's basically the same duties as a nurse, but they do need substitutes, so this is a brand new job description. Page 20 through 21 is some changes on the disciplinary hearing officer for the district's job description. The main change for that is supervising the JDC general education, training and support, student presentations, and supports curriculum and resources all related to the Juvenile Detention Center. These responsibilities are being removed from the Executive Director of Academic Education and added to the disciplinary hearing officer. Page 22 is a request for additional pay from Ms. Ingram, our Director of Federal Programs, on Horn Lake High School tutors to work 19.5 hours per week for students that need the extra support. They'll be paid $27 an hour, beginning 9/5 and ending 6/30/20. Page 23 is a list of those Title I tutors. Page 24 is a request for additional pay from Ms. Ingram on the Title I bus driver for the after school tutoring. She worked 294 hours and be paid at $34 per route, beginning 9/5 and ending 6/3/20. Page 25 is a list of the full-time high school Title I bus drivers. I need to stop there, have that approved, and we'll have one more item.
Based on Mr. Alexander's presentation of personnel, pages 1 through 25, your recommendation.
Mr. President, I recommend the board to approve pages 1 through 25 of personnel as presented.
Based on the superintendent's recommendation for approval of pages 1 through 25 on personnel, do we have a motion to that effect? Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion having been made and seconded, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Nay, the ayes have it. Pages 1 through 25 are approved as presented.
Final page in your personal packet this afternoon is an employee who will be receiving $75 daily for being licensed until that license is completed.
Your recommendation for approval, Mr. Osborne.
Mr. President, I recommend the board to approve page 26 of personnel as presented.
Based on the superintendent's recommendation for approval of page 26 in personnel as presented, do we have motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion.
Motion having been made, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, we need a second. All
I
right,
make the second.
we got a second, we can proceed. Motion having been made and seconded.
Where are we? What do you want us to do now?
I want you to vote.
You got to vote.
Aye.
Oh, nay, no nay, ayes have it. Page 26 in personnel is approved as presented. All right. I know y'all can keep it straight. Yeah, I know it. I'm glad I got you. Okay. Since, this is the first. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Grover, I've omitted you up here. Where's the appeal?
Yes, sir.
Where's
We're
that?
happy to discuss in executive session.
All right, okay. Executive session. Okay, this is the first, this is the regular call meeting of the board, so, anyone have anything to address the board on as far as public comments?
I would like to petition the board for a transfer.
Pardon?
I would like to petition the board for a transfer for my two kids.
Student matters are discussed in executive session, not in an open session, ma'am.
I have a question. Why is it taking exposed to the public?
Would you come, are you here just to address the board on a general matter?
I'm here to address the board of my kids being taken out of financial school.
No, that would have to be discussed in executive session.
That's my question.
Yeah, which is she wanted, yeah, you can explain, she's asking
Why should it be open to the public? Why have to go down in the sessions?
Anytime we discuss, student matters, they are, gonna be held in executive session for the protection of all concerned. Even if a parent wants to discuss in the open session, it is not a matter for the public, to even be involved in, and that's why all student
This
matters
is the public.
are held in executive session.
Sir, isn't this a public school and everything needs to be addressed among every individual as a
No,
public?
no, your individual, you know, a parent's individual children's issues are not necessarily the interest of every other parent, and that's why we keep those specific between the parent and the student. You have the right, when you get out on your own, to talk about all you want to, but the board cannot. We have to entertain it in executive session.
No, no.
She's here to, she.
Yes, sir, I am.
She is one, yeah, okay, yeah, you're on the list to address it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any other public comment not dealing with, student matters? Yes, sir.
Hello, I'm Michael Mason. I'm Senator-elect for District 1. I just wanted to reemphasize my commitment to the DeSoto County Schools and to public education. And I would like a liaison, whether there is any idea or anything to the effect of the school system, to be able to contact, because y'all are it, and it's not my Senate seat, it's our Senate seat. So I just want to make that in public, second, for this board. And I want to thank each and every one.
Thank you, Mr. McClendon.
Thank you.
Congratulations, but at the same time, as far as liaison, as I tell all of our local legislators, you call me anytime. I'm always glad to discuss anything Jackson, but I appreciate your openness and willing to discuss those matters with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any other comments from anyone, since it's this first meeting of the month, open to the public, unless it's student matter or legal matters? Not, I will entertain them. Pardon? he is. I need a motion for consideration of closed session to determine whether the board will enter executive session for the following matters. Student matters regarding early graduation, construction contract matters, residency appeals, and requests to appeal, that have already been before the vote. So, anything else? Need a motion on it? All right. Good. Have a motion only. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion is carried. Mr. Chase will come back and inform you as to whether the board will stay in executive session for the matters that were mentioned. Our next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, September the 19th.